What is going on, guys? Welcome to today's episode of the Collecting Keys Real Estate Investing Podcast. This is the show where we teach you to make massive income, not just passive income with your real estate investing business. If this is your first time here, I am Mike DeHaan here with my co-host, Dan Austin.
Hey.
And on these Wednesday Mike and Dan show episodes, we talk about real estate investing, business, and whatever else we feel like for the week. And we are full swing in the SubTo weeds. If you guys have listened to us at all, you kind of know our general opinion on SubTo transactions and the whole Morby craze, which I think he's a crook and a criminal who will not have a good conversation with me no matter how hard I cry. And there's always so many murky pieces of these kinds of transactions. And we are in the process of selling a deal on a wrap that is basically subject to our existing mortgage that we have on there. We're trying to keep our low interest rate. We'll also recover our capital and, be able to keep some cash flow. And it's a very common thing that people over there allegedly do. But the buyer had a super valid question that no one else seems to be able to answer. Surprise, surprise. So you want to dive into that, Dan? Let me know what you've learned with this.
Yeah. So actually a handful of things to learn about this. I mean, there's a ton, and we should dive into some of these other things as we unravel this. But to start with the subject to wrap that we're doing here. So, and the reason why we're doing that is because we have some equity that we still want to get paid, get that cash flow from it. So we're going to collect a down payment. We're doing a 10% down payment. So it's actually a super solid deal for this guy that's buying it from us. And he's going to pay us what we want to get paid, and he's going to be able to rent this thing out and still make some money. And he has personal reasons why he wants to buy this property as well. That just align with him perfectly. So it's a great deal on both sides. And
I'm going to cut you off. I don't think you're using your good mic.
Oh shit. It says I am.
Is it? Why? You sound really tinny all of a sudden. You tap on it? Is interesting.
Yeah, it says I'm on my Scarlett. Hold on. That's speakers. Never mind. Microphone, Scarlett. Communication.
Yeah, I guess
I don't have any other option.
Mine says Focusbrite USB.
Yeah, but I don't know why it calls it a Scarlett on mine.
Okay, cool.
But it is the same thing.
Okay, cool. No worries. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we didn't go into this whole thing and then realize audio fucking sucked and have to do it again.
All right. So
what we'll do is we'll do a pause. We'll do like a 5-second pause and go right back into what you were doing. You can say there's actually a bunch of things. Okay. And then Max can edit it out.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Ready. And do a pause.
There's actually a bunch of things I think that we're learning as we go through this. And one thing to note too that I was just thinking is that, we're using Morby's contract, or we're using a contract that we found that was allegedly from him, right? And it's actually a decent contract. Like, it spells out a lot of the things that need to be addressed during a subject to or subject to and wrap transaction. Lots of different things which we can dive into, which I actually do think are good. But there's these things like you mentioned, the guy that's buying it from us, who is buying it fully knowing what we're doing. He pursued, I think he posted looking for a subject to deal. Mm-hmm. We have a subject to deal we're trying to sell. So he's fully going into this knowing all that sort of stuff. It's his first deal though, which is awesome because he's asking all the right questions that sometimes we as experienced investors don't think about, or things that don't pop up until you've had to deal with them. One of those questions is, what happens if you die? How am I going to get protected? And I was sitting there on the phone. I was like, well, let's think through this out loud. And I said, so you own the property. You are taking title. So nobody can take that away from you. You're buying it from you. We're going to sign over the deed. You are taking title. So if I die, my kids can't take the house. My spouse can't take the house. The house is yours fundamentally. The thing that doesn't go is that mortgage, because the mortgage company still thinks I'm the title, or me and you are the ones that have the personal guarantee for that loan. So we're still taking the risk. But in general, if you die, you would assume the mortgage company would want to get paid, right? Because there's typical probate process. I don't know that they wouldn't find out right away, or maybe they would. I have no idea. However, so I posted in the Morby group, posted in there, and they get a lot of posts a day. So it's a very active group. Post that same question. Hey, what happens if I die? How do I protect the seller? I got one guy to respond, And it was get a power of attorney. And then another guy responded like, yeah, that would be good, except for the power of attorney always is eliminated when the person dies. So the power of attorney, you can't give a power of attorney to solve this problem. Yeah. So the funny thing is, like you and I were chuckling about, is like, out of all the thousands of people in this group and Pace's team themselves, nobody could answer that.
That's the other thing too that I find really funny is their group is very like he has like an administrative account that is very active, responding to questions until a question comes up that doesn't have a bullshit politician answer and actually has some kind of weight behind it. They are radio silent.
Silent, dude. Like I would have thought that they would have responded, right? Because like a post right after mine, they responded to. So my point is not that it's like, oh, this is all bullshit, you know, that like, no, it's legit. And if this is the answer to this, which I'm totally okay with, is, well, keep paying the mortgage and hope they don't call the loan due because the person who is guaranteeing is dead. And if it is, and if they do call the loan due, then go and refinance it. And hopefully you can do that. Make sure you're set up to be able to refinance that in the case. And also if the dude's 90 years old, maybe don't do this deal with them. If they're young like me in their 30s, healthy, you got a little less risk of the guy just dying, but I can still get hit by a bus. My point being that if that's the answer, that's okay. Like everybody's okay with that. I think should be okay with that answer. And then you have to decide, like, is this risk from a buyer and seller standpoint okay? But Pace and nobody on that side of the fence is saying that. There's no answer to it. It's like, but same thing with the insurance thing. Why I'm like, why do you need a special insurance company? And his response is, we need it because most people don't know how to do insurance. So I use this special insurance company. And that's how they figure out. It's like, no, it's because when you're changing title and you've changed insurance companies, they're going to connect with the lender and get the lender's information to put it on the policy. And they don't want to alert the lender that their title did transfer because then the lender could make it due on sale. Like, just say that's the risk.
I know. The problem is so many things are just like this fancy way of like trying to make sure that dad doesn't find out that you're breaking the rules.
Yeah. You know, if that's the case, just be like, hey, dude, my dad finds out he's going to whoop our ass. Like, okay. Yeah. Do you still want to do it? Yeah, I'm taking that risk all day long.
And that's the whole issue I have with this whole sort of just like sphere of real estate is they try to downplay the legitimate challenges and risks with these fancy sort of like strategies and companies and all these things, all of which, by the way, he owns. You know, he has ownership in all of these companies when really what they're just trying to do is reduce the chances of it getting seen or just trying to like make it so that there is as little of a paper trail as possible to show this transfer of title. And the challenge with this one as well, because we're selling it on a wrap, okay, so our existing mortgage is staying in place. We want a balloon payment in 5 years so that we actually can exit the debt at some point and get paid off fully. Makes perfect sense for us to want that. If we were to both die, okay, which is, you know, a possibility, anything can happen.
We fly together sometimes.
Yeah, right. We're flying down together to KeysCon. If you know, that were to happen and this guy 5 years from now, he's continued to pay the mortgage. He now wants to get a payoff statement from the lender. If you go to get a payoff statement through a title and escrow company, they need an approval letter to get the payoff statement from the lender. Nobody is around to be able to get this payoff statement. So what the hell is the guy going to do?
Exactly.
Like he's completely screwed.
Yes.
And now he has a debt that a escrow company is going to enforce our balloon payment, which money is going to go to our families because they're the ones that hold that note, that debt. But the lender, they're not going to be able to get a payoff statement. So it's just not going to get paid off, or they're going to go and like try to sue this guy, or like what the situation is going to be. Like, I have no idea.
I think the answer is who knows what could happen, but I know it will be a pain in the ass because absolutely. So say that 5 years does come up and our wives, we're dead. So our wives don't have people producing income for them. So like this asset of the note, which would be like $80,000 at the end of it all, would be a good chunk of money for them to maybe need. Who knows what could happen. And so they're at 5 years, they're going to need that. They're going to want that. And this guy's going to try to pay it off. And he's probably going to try to do the right thing because he's a good guy. And it's going to be a 6 to 8 month process, maybe, if just knowing how things work. When you go to the bank, they're like, well, who does this? Who's going to sign the paperwork? Nobody, because the guy's dead. Well, we've never had that happen before. What do we do? And it's going to be a lot of back and forth. And you're going to go into the institution of the bank, and who knows who's going to carry the note that we have, because we have a 30-year normal conventional debt on this thing that could get sold at any time to any new lender.
Yeah, right. Know? And then there's letters that are being sent that are alerting that go to nobody.
Yeah,
because the people that hold the note are deceased. Like it's just a whole. There's so many pieces, and that's such a fascinating question that guy asked, because that's something that I've never thought about or heard anyone talk about, and I think that falls into the bucket of the other things that Pace fully understands probably exists, but let's just hope that nobody asks me about that in a public setting, because I don't have a good answer.
Yeah.
Right. Or I bet he does have a good answer, but it's like a politician's answer where he loops around and has like some other bullshit excuse throughout.
People, his answer to that question is people, I mean, my sellers come to me and thank me so much for helping them. It's like, but what? Okay, I guess.
Or he's going to be like, my lawyers assure me that there is no problem with this as long as you get this whatever form signed. I'm going to put it in a safe deposit box where I get to have access to it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But anyways,
to close the loop on this too, to make it more complicated, is people wholesaling these types of deals. So now the buyer has no connection to the seller. Like in this case, we're both educated. Like we're going to do this deal, right? Like as long as the buyer's still in, like we're in. We know we're just fully exploring the risks on both sides. And so we're selling this property regardless. We're happy with the results and happy to take on the risks associated with this. And if he is, that's fine. And these are two fully everybody that's involved understands the risks.
Yeah.
If you wholesale it, say we're wholesaling, because this guy actually thought we were wholesaling. I was like, no, dude, we own this house. I was like, so if I die, like you're talking to the guy, right? And so he was like, oh, okay, makes sense. But if you weren't, this buyer has no idea who that's. So there's just no relationship to even have, right? So 3 years from now, if he has a question, who's he going to contact? And he's not going to contact the seller. He might contact the wholesaler, who's likely going to be out of business right now and maybe even in jail. Who knows?
Or maybe they're dead.
Or maybe they're dead too. Maybe the seller and the wholesaler both died in a plane wreck.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows?
I don't know.
So there might be a solution. If you guys know what it is, I would love to know. Please hit one of us up on Instagram. I'm at Mike_invest. Dan's at InvestormanDan, or send us an email just at Adamnet Collecting Keys and say like, here's how you deal with the death of the lien guarantor. Guarantee? Yeah. The guarantor is the one that holds is responsible.
I don't ever know that.
Right?
I don't know.
They use the words kind of in a way that feels backwards to me. But if that person dies, the person that's supposed to pay back the mortgage and guarantees the mortgage dies, this is how you're supposed to deal with the subject too, because I would love to know. I can't figure it out. There's, if I was thinking about it, what I would assume is you probably should like put it into a trust and have like a trustee who is responsible for paying off that note that is like a legal company. Right. Like a lawyer or something like that. That also feels like extra steps. And I also know for a fact that none of those clowns that are a part of that business do that.
No,
so
of course not.
they definitely don't.
No.
So anyways, so that's one of our dramas. And then our next drama, because this is just the drama show on Wednesdays. It seems like at least once a month. Southern people.
Oh, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
We are... Like there's this whole talk about Southern hospitality, and I will say my experience to the South have always been great. Super nice people, great customers, everything's awesome. When it comes to business, why are so many of you dicks? Right? And when I say so many
sharks.
of you, sharks,
dude.
I have this experience with 2 or 3 people that have been involved in this transaction. So we have these subject to deals that got called like 6 months ago at this point. You guys, if you've been around at all, you've heard us talk about it a lot. So the loans got called due. We had to pay them off and trying to sell them. We have one of these properties that we are now on closing day at time of recording for the second time. And the different buyer, has come back on closing day with more just like bullshit that is jeopardizing the closing.
More requests for money, basically.
Exactly. And so on the first one, they just couldn't even get their stuff together, and then they just ghosted us entirely, refused to release.
They kept blaming the lender is what they kept doing. Yeah. And in reality, I think it was them that couldn't close.
Exactly. And they got real shady about it because they just like ghosted.
Yeah.
And after being like super like on top of it and wanting all these things for 99% of the way, day of, they just ghosted him and said, okay, well, I guess we got to go back on the market. Got under contract again. And now throughout the entire time, we made clear very early, we did not get security deposits. When we bought these properties, we bought them distressed. It's common for us not to get security deposits. It's a duplex. There are tenants in there. We've also had a tenant that stopped paying that we are going through the formal eviction process. That was made clear extremely early on.
Very made clear. I don't know how more clear it could be.
Yep. And now we are at closing. Okay. And the timeline and everything has been made clear for weeks. We're at closing and they go, oh, we're not going to close anymore if we don't get security deposits from you guys. I'm like, bro, they was it 3 days ago? They just asked for a letter saying, can you just confirm that you did not get security deposits? We said, sure, here we go. You know, that's the case. You've known about this. This was part of our disclosure when we did the initial offer on this deal. And now they're just saying, oh yeah, they're just not going to close if they don't get the $1,200. Yeah. Trying to like shake us down for nothing. Right. And out of principle, I'm like, I'm not going to freaking pay it.
No.
Like, I don't care. You going to walk away from a property for $1,200? I don't care. You can screw off. Right. There's that. And then now we have this eviction, which is happening today. And they're wanting like all this extra holdback money until that's completed, which is slightly more reasonable. Yeah. But it's mostly the way that they're going about it, where after pushing on us to close on this time and all these different things, they're now saying, actually, we're going to delay it because the timeline that we have known has existed for 30 days is actually panning out. And we decide we don't like that on closing day.
It's like most other people that would go and buy a duplex off the MLS. They're just too scared to do the freaking deal. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, just get over it. And it's like, the unsung heroes are our brokers down there. Cause like, if you think you have a good broker, you don't compared to these folks down there. I mean, legit operators. Was it Kaizen Home Sales or what? I can't remember what they. Yeah. It's Kaizen is. So if you're ever in Baton Rouge, hit up White Graves down there. Legit. I mean, I'll be honest. I kind of knew we were evicting somebody, but I didn't really know. Like I was like, oh yeah, we got to evict these people because they're not paying rent. And they told us that they weren't paying rent and they're going to evict them. I was like, cool, take care of it. They've also organized every single bit of repairs. They've done things that were like, you know, preemptive, like, hey, you're going to need to do this. So we're going to take care of it for you. All that sort of stuff. And I mean, you and I loosely involved, never been there, never even seen the properties.
Yeah. I don't even know where it is. Honestly,
just absolute studs when it comes to that. Cause like we know a lot of brokers and I don't know that I've ever dealt with one that's this organized and actually has all the contacts to do things for reasonable prices and are like, here's my recommendation for you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So it's been our drama down there, and I apologize to Southern people targeting you, but this is also compounded with the fact that in our scale community, the wildest stories of betrayal
always come to the Southeast.
Always come from our guys that are in like Georgia,
like straight up, like I'm stabbing people in the back kind of stuff, like just wildness.
Yeah, like one of our guys, he's in an area outside of Atlanta. He's talking about how one of his like, what was it, like one of his mom's friends, who's like a real estate investor and was like a kind of like a mentor for him, has taken to talking shit about him on Facebook and now trying to like stab him in the back on deals,
so
going
crazy
behind him on stuff.
So crazy.
But then like he'll like see him at the grocery store and they just treat it like all good. Like let me just say that in the Pacific Northwest, we're all passive aggressive. We don't do that at all. We just screw each other over and don't say anything.
We're not nice to each other when we do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're not nice to each other in general. We're not like saying like, oh, you know, hope your family have a great Christmas. They're going to steal deals. We're just like, I'm just not going to talk to their family at all. And then we're steal the deal.
Fuck their family. You go to the Northeast, they're just they're assholes to your face.
Yeah. Right.
Everybody's got their dynamics.
It's a double negative up there. They're dick to you in person and they're stealing your deals.
Yeah, exactly. It is mind blowing, kind of like how, because we've had some pretty good success down in the Southeast. There's been a lot of like action down there, but it's like when you actually look at where like a lot of like the problems in every market with wholesaling, right? But when you actually look at like all the buyer issues and people like kind of going behind each other's back or people just kind of doing shit that's like, that's just not good business, comes out of there.
Totally. And then I keep hearing about all the new like wholesaling legislations that they're bringing out places. And they always seem to be in markets like Tennessee or like South Carolina. And then now as we've done deals in these markets, I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense.
Because there's some wild shit going on. Yeah. There's some wild shit going on down there, man.
So yeah, it's just, it's been so fascinating building out this partnership model, you know, where nationwide, because you see all the different like seller personalities and like the investor personalities everywhere, you know, because like you realize very quickly how many different cultures there are within the United States in terms of like how a sales process looks, how a transaction process looks, how they expect you to be like even having conversations, introducing yourself, what that cadence looks like. I mean, there really are, you know, multiple countries within the United States in terms of like the just general cultural.
I mean, yeah, technically there's got to be just the geography, right? We're so big. And then, so you really get to see it, and you get to see like the local cultures of business, because you could like go in, like, say you were just in Charleston, say you moved there for the summer, like you kind of generally get the culture and the vibe, right? And like, okay, this is what it's like here. But like when you start making money or like doing business with people, you really get to see behind the scenes on like how people actually act when it's not a good time at a restaurant or the bar, or when you see them at the park. Like it's like, no, this is how people really are. And so it is kind of cool to see the little microcultures. I mean, not always cool, but I guess interesting to see all the little microcultures around the country.
Yeah. And I mean, and I'll say in general, from my experience down there when I was there a couple of weeks ago, incredibly friendly people. Like I've never had more random people just like talk to me in like restaurants or like in coffee shops and stuff, just like wanting to have a conversation about nothing. Yeah. Like they were just like, they didn't know I wasn't from there. It wasn't like, oh, are you from out of town? I want to like talk to you. It was just like, oh, have you like tried this
you
on the
menu? From around here.
Well, most people didn't even have Southern accents there. I don't know if there's like a traditional. It's not like Georgia where there's like a common Georgia accent.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
always makes me think of Bill Clinton.
Arkansas.
Yeah, he's Arkansas, which sounds like from Atlanta.
Same thing.
Same thing. Whatever. But yeah, anyway. It's just so interesting to see this, and we've had like, it always makes me think of like the Ozarks. Honestly, that's what we joke with our guy on our scale coaching call. He talks about some of these things. He's like getting done over by like old ladies, you know, that are like pulling fast ones on him. You know, I'm like, you got freaking Darlene down there, dude. It's
Darlene.
Like, you better give her the money or she's going to stab you with a heroin needle.
What was that line that somebody said? It's like, I don't know shit about fuck.
Yeah, that's Ruth. Yeah. And that's like how they act. Is like, but they're sharp, man. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, they're sharp. So, yeah. They got some business savvy. They know how to do deals, back rooms, shaking hands, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So it's been quite the ups and downs, but you know, that's the business though, right? And that is why as a wholesaler and off-market operator, you can make significantly more money than the people that go on the market and kind of just like follow the standard rules and regulations around real estate. So
totally.
We get messy because if it has, what did they say? The 5 Ds are the things that will make you the most money. I forget what all of them are. There's something that I like learned in it's actually from a high school teacher that I had. It was an economics teacher, and he
5 Ds.
Yeah, he's like the 5 Ds. Basically, he said if they're what do you say? If they're difficult, they're dull, so they're like super boring, dangerous. I can't remember the fourth one. The last one was devious. So dick. Basically, not dick. So yeah, exactly. But basically, like, you know, if they were like hard, they were super boring. They were, you know, something that you could kill you, or there's something like illegal. Then those are the things that you have to do if you want to make like real money. Yeah. And it's funny. It's one of those things that he said this in, I don't know, it was 2007 when I was in high school. And I regularly think about that because that was at a time where they were pampering all of us millennials to just like go to college and have these really safe, like little jobs where you just live in an office. You don't have to work that hard. You go home and watch Netflix. You send some emails and you make $85,000 a year, right? Which is what a lot of people were sort of expecting. Yeah. And now you have all those people who've gotten into that role, and you have the ones that were kind of like a little bit later than me that are like, I did all that stuff and now I make $15 an hour and I have a master's degree. It's like, because you don't have any of those things that actually
you're not doing anything difficult or dangerous.
Yeah. You know, and sure, it's boring, but that's not like intentionally. That's just because that's unfortunately how it's built out. Yeah. So yeah, it's
interesting. That's a good point of view.
Yeah. So it's good mentor back in the day. Head of his time.
Yeah, he is. He loved his D's, man. 5 D's. Mike glommed onto that.
I did.
Like, is this guy talking about D's?
Yeah. Hey, this is before anything like that was acceptable to talk about, so I had to take my chances where I could.
Okay.
So, well, anyways, so on top of that, though, we are rounding out April. Things are in full swing. The market's looking strong. Yeah. Got a handful of new members to the Scale community who have been coming and taking things by storm. We're getting ready for KeysCon here in about a month.
Yeah, I'm so
which
pumped.
Is coming up super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that, though. It should be fun, too, because like with KeysCon this time around, we learned a lot from the first one. And so going into the second one, there's a lot more things that I think we're just going to do better, which should be good.
We're going to be able to tighten up the schedule,
Mm-hmm.
be able to tighten up the topics so we can do just as much, but just better, and deliver the deliverability of it is going to be even better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and we're bringing in like a couple specialists to talk about like specific parts that they're good at. So, you know, we have like a new partner that we've been working with that's a pro at sales who's going to be coming in and coaching on that, which will be better than us like coaching sales when we're not like we're admittedly just not our strong point. We're good at like building a team and managing a team, but the actual sales skills, bringing in somebody that actually
the soft skills that matter, that helps this dude crush.
Exactly. Right. It's like if I try to teach someone how to throw a football versus actually having a football coach teach you that, it's going to like go a lot further.
Totally.
Right. And so, yeah, we got a lot of changes there, and we're also bringing out the same photographers, which I think will be cool as we continue to do more events. If we build those relationships with people that kind of understand us and our brand, I just think the quality of content and things will just improve.
Yeah. Those guys are chill. It'd be fun to have them back in town, and we basically have our crew now. They just fly around the country and follow us. We're so famous.
Is that the right word?
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Famous.
We're paying for a camera crew to follow us around. How about that?
Yeah, anyone can do that. That's right. Have you like ever been to events and there's somebody that has like a camera crew that's following them around and they're like not really like a big deal at all? I mean, I get why people do it. You're trying to build your brand, trying to do these things. It is also so cringy, dude. Like
what do you mean? Like when you go to like an event and you got like a speaker and somebody's filming them, kind of thing, or like you mean they're just like if you walking around like, hey, I'm this guy.
So I think about like that guy that spoke at Steve's mastermind, a business coach's mastermind.
The shorter guy,
I'm looking at Jets guy.
Oh yeah,
what was his name? Yeah, and he like had like
Ryan Zofle.
Yeah, he had like his crew there, and he's like his like
19-year-old girlfriend, and he's like 40. That was not awkward.
That was not awkward at all. Yeah, and he had like his like D-list. He's like a D-list celebrity, and he had his camera crew. But now that's what he does is he has a camera crew, a professional camera crew that follows him into like a freaking mall, Wetzel's Pretzels, and he like gives him $1,000. Dude, it's so cringy.
He flew on a private jet once or got near it, and he had so many videos that week of him being near a private jet. Like how many times he walked off that jet to film a different piece of content because it was all the same background, same clothes, just different like piece of content. I'm like, bro.
He's like, I'm looking at this one today.
I'm looking at jets, dog. Yeah. Okay. He got his free seat on his NetJets when he signed up.
It's like, you know, when you're not the level yet where people are like, okay, that guy's a big deal. Just like have your girlfriend or your buddy follow you around with an iPhone. They film in 4K. You'll be fine. Then you won't look like a raging douchebag. It's really not that hard.
Well, I mean, honestly, in his defense, he is a raging douchebag. So that's why it comes off that way. Like without the cameras, he would be that way. And he's not even a D-list celebrity. He's adjacent to another. I've tended to call him a D-list celebrity, but a niche celebrity. Yeah. So like, he's not even on the list.
No, like at all. Like, I don't even know what he does. I can't remember.
I don't know. Something to do with like rehab centers, supposedly, allegedly.
Yeah.
So. He owes Aaron Bill $10,000.
I know Aaron. Aaron doesn't want the money out of principal, which is fine. But we had like a whole exercise there where he was like, "Hey, like sell me on this, and I'll give you $10,000." And Aaron was
do you know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of my daughter. Like trying to get her to do something that she did not want to do in front of a group of people. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah,
he was so stubborn, and I'll give it to Aaron. Give him credit. He was so stubborn. He stuck to his gun. He stuck to his Chacos, man. He did not get out of his Chacos.
Yeah. Speaking of him too, he had an episode with us, Aaron Beal down in San Antonio. Very, very good operator.
Solid operator
too. I think he's at Aaron Beal, BIHL. But we have our animated short coming out on our YouTube with him, I believe. By the time this episode comes out, it should be released, or it should be releasing the day after this.
Yeah, so it's a fun one.
It'll be a really good one. But yeah, I mean, like he goes and does this, and also too, like, can people stop, like quasi successful people stop filming themselves, like giving service workers like fat tips?
That one pisses me off more than anything, or just in general donating or giving money away like you're some badass. Like,
just do it.
Just do it.
Like if you're gonna provide that to somebody, like they gave you good service or you want to like respect them or whatever, Like that's fine, but don't like film it and put it on social media. It's so ridiculous.
I feel like it's super disrespectful and super cringy. Honestly,
it's like look at what I'm doing for this poor person. That's how it feels.
Like here's the thing. I think I really, when it comes to like donations and philanthropy, 99% of that and people, it's all about ego. It's look how much excess I have. I can just give it away. Yeah. Right. There's so many people that do that. That's why like you see all these like galas where people are donating money. They feed off of rich people's egos. They're smart. Honestly, you get people in the room. It's like, oh, I'm going to donate this, or I want to be the big cheese in at the table, or I bought a table at this gala, or whatever. Like, there's a lot of ego around it. That's where I think also service can be better if you're not trying to film it and make money off of it, like whatever. But like, just do your thing how you want to do. Like, I respect people that donate money or time and don't ever talk about it. Like, other than like, that's just their thing. Obviously, if you're trying to raise money for a good cause, you have to talk about it. But like, if that's your thing and you really truly want to do it, just do it. Don't put it on Instagram.
You know what it reminds me of? There's this old clip. It's like a black and white video clip from obviously a long time ago that you see going around so often, every so often. And it's like a British, I don't know if it's like a monarch or world, just like a rich person that's in India. And, they just colonized India where all the, super poverty stricken people were. And she's like throwing coins out and all these kids are like beating each other up, like getting these coins. That, like, when you see people that go and film it on Instagram to go and like give money to people, that's how it feels to me. It's like the same thing.
That's actually hilarious.
Like, honestly,
that is what it is too. And it's like, what are you doing? I don't know. Like, it just doesn't feel good.
Especially you walk into like a KFC and you give like the cashier $1,000. What do you think happens the second she turns around?
Yeah.
People want their piece of the money. They're like,
totally.
Hey, Sharon got her fat tip. Where's mine?
Right. Or seriously.
Like, honestly.
Yeah. My version of that, what you just said, was the analogy. Like, there used to be during like, the Iraq war, like you'd see all these videos coming out from like the American soldiers. They'd like throw candy or throw anything down at the kids and they'd all run and fight over it.
There was that one of the fat kid that was like viral when we were in college.
That was huge. That was super popular, dude. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah. That's exactly what it's like. It's like, come on, chill out, people.
So anyways, all right, we got to wrap this up because I got to go swing over to a coaching call here.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody, thanks for listening. Seriously, if you know a solution to this SubTo, what happens if we die thing, please message one or both of us on Instagram. I'm at Mike_invest. Dan is at InvestorManDan. Or if you listen to this and you're like, Instagram's for teenage girls, then just send us an email at admin@collectingkeys.com as well. Because honestly, I need a solution so we can get this thing figured out. And so I can have one more piece of ammo that I can finally hold over. I can continue to hold over Pace's head when I do.
Mike loves that.
Meet him, which I will happen. I'm going to have my list of bullshit things that I will openly discuss with him that he will dance around like a politician. And even though he's worth 20 times as much as I am and has 1,000 times more influence, does not mean that he is right. It still means that he's a freaking liar. And I cannot deal with that. So anyways, appreciate you guys listening and we'll talk to you guys next week.
See y'all.